Hey man, what's going on, man? Goose here, and got a video for you. As every week, we're going to try to do this. We're going to listen to the press conference from Brian Kelly, as it was on Tuesday today because of the holiday. Let's share the screen. I gotta share the screen here. There we go. Now it's up. Let's listen to what Brian Kelly had to say about the Clemson victory over the weekend.
Now, or is that somebody's coffee that they left up here? No. Okay, we'll open up with, obviously an opener here. Playing at Tiger Stadium is, such a special opportunity. So I know our guys and staff and fans and everybody associated with the program coming back to Tiger Stadium is pretty exciting. We got a lot of guys, I think like 45 guys that will be walking down Victory Hill for the first time. We were busy getting them, helping them secure suits. And so it's exciting, when you get a chance to open on the road and have some success, you build a lot of momentum, but then you take a look at now the opportunity to play at home, it heightens it even more. We've certainly feel great about what we accomplished, but our mantra this year is 1-0. So we celebrated that win 24 hours. We came in, had recovery on Sunday. Monday, we went back to work, put that behind us, and focused on Louisiana Tech, and we want to go 1-0. And we have to replicate all the things that we did to get to 1-0. And that goal for us will be the same each and every year.
Goddamn freaking.
Guys hear this each and every week from me, but we got a commitment from our guys that they want to do the hard things the right way, and that is, building great habits, following a process that's in place that is successful, and that's not easy because you just take a look at the narrative leading into our first game. Our fan base was going to be eroding. The head coach is on the hot seat. They can't run the ball. They won't be able to stop the run. I mean, I could go on and on. We got, people taking shots at our process. It went on. And then 24 hours later, the same people said that we got one of the best teams in the country.
Well, I'll stop him right there. The dude hadn't won an season opening game since he's been here. So some of the things were warranted about, can we run the football? Will we be prepared to win the game? So they were warranted about all the question marks. So I don't know what he's getting at there, but anyway.
So you can see how silly this is if you're just listening to those narratives. What we have to be focused on is what we can control on a day-to-day basis. And what we can control is how we prepare. And our preparation allowed us to play with great composure on the road in a very hostile environment. We competed on every play, but most importantly, we played with great confidence. Our guys believed going into the game that they were going to win the game, regardless of the situation. So that's what we're about, and we need to stay focused on that if we want to get to 1-0 this week. So a couple of things from the game. I think the thing that I'd like to point out is, I think it's easy to see energy and passion, and those things are important. Just working is not good enough. You have to have passion in what you do. And one of the things that stands out is there's a lot of passion on that defensive side of the ball. And with that passion is guys being selfless. I'll give you an example. Harold's play at the end of the game. He doesn't make that play unless our end, Patrick Pavin, gives himself up inside the C gap to collapse the tackle so we can get the wraparound. Or P.J. Woodland's sack earlier, where Jack Pyburn takes an upfield intentional rush to open up the D gap so he can get to the quarterback. And that happened pretty much the entire game. Guys playing their 111th across the board, and that's what Blake has been harping on. That's what we've been talking about in terms of how you play team defense. You first have to have a passion because you got to run.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the defense played really, really well. Saturday night, probably the best defense that we've seen at LSU in a long time. In a long time. I know it's only one game. But we haven't seen a defense playing like that, even for a game in a long time. But let's see what else he has to say.
Hit, you got to get excited, but then you got to do your job, not somebody else's job. And we had a lot of that going on at times, and we'll continue to build on that. From an offensive standpoint, what I thought really stood out, and you guys are not going to like this, but the receivers have been talked about so much about their playmaking ability, and they certainly have it, and they have it in loads, but they block their tails off. And that's another indication of a selflessness to we need to run the football, and we can't run it unless we're getting guys blocking downfield, and we did. And
I agree with that. Well, we did have that over the weekend. I just like to see us run it maybe a little bit better than we did, but only one game. But it was a good performance.
I know this is not the sexy stuff that you guys want to talk about, but winning on the road is hard against the top 5 team, and you got to do the little things the right way. And I wanted to illustrate that and make sure that I gave them the accolades for that. Garrett Nussmeier, obviously the SEC Offensive Player of the Week, which you know, and Braylon Moore did an outstanding job in his first start at center, keeping that offensive line in a really good position all night. Louisiana Tech. I'll start with this. Have a lot of respect for Coach Cumbie and the way he works. I get a chance to see him virtually all summer in camps. He's one of the hardest working coaches I've seen in the industry, just doing whatever he can to continue to build his program and recruit, in particular, the state of Louisiana. And I give him great credit for that. Obviously, from a standpoint of in-state, we relish these opportunities to play in-state. But we also know that our opponent, this is the biggest game of their career for many of them. So,
this game coming up Saturday isn't really going to be a competitive football game, but it is right. It is good to play at in-state school, and I wish there's some other schools that we play more of. But that's for another video.
We have to be prepared and certainly do the things that we need to do. Defensively, I think they play with great energy. Colby Fields is a former player here, leads their team. He was the defensive player of the year in Conference USA. And it's again a team from an offensive standpoint that centers around the quarterback. So again, we'll be challenged to stop the quarterback and the quarterback run. So I know that was a lot. Appreciate you taking the time to listen. We'll open it up to questions.
Oh, there you go. Questions.
Coach, with the SEC going to a 9-game conference schedule, what do you think is sort of the future with games like this against a team like Louisiana Tech, with especially in-state schools, smaller schools?
Well, I still think there's a place. We're going to play 12, Koki. So, if you got 9 plus maybe we play one up in a Power 4, there's 10. I think the other 2 could very easily come from the state of Louisiana. So I would still be in favor of doing that and hope that we do moving forward.
Yeah, they need to do that. We need to play in-state schools every year, going forward. Whether it's Louisiana Tech, Louisiana Lafayette, Louisiana Monroe, Tulane. That needs to happen.
Popeye's wings got better.
Oh yeah, that's another freaking ad. Another ad.
A chance to ask you after the game, into the first half, 4th and 2, what happened there, and what did you learn from that going forward?
Well, the analytics call for a go on the 4th and 2. However, the mistake that I made on that is that we didn't have enough time on the clock to get in 4 plays. So analytics is also looking at how many plays can you get in to make that 4th and 2 worthwhile. Even if we got it, with only one timeout and the time left on the clock, it would not have given us the maximum opportunity on that go.
Look, he's done this every game, every opening game so far that he's been here. When he should have taken points, he hasn't. So there shouldn't be a surprise where Brian Kelly has a chance to take points in the first quarter or first drive of the game, in the first half. And he doesn't do it. He hasn't done it since. He hasn't done it ever in the first game. So I don't expect him to do it next year either.
So that was a mistake on my part. We should have kicked the field goal in that situation.
Yeah, Brian, right here. After the game, you said you couldn't tell whether Barry and Brown scored or not. Did you look at the film, and what do you think looking at the film? And has the SEC said anything to you about that?
We have talked to the SEC about it. John McDay, the supervisor of officials, and I had a conversation about it. I think it was extremely productive in all areas. This thing has kind of gotten away from us a little bit, with so many replays in the NFL, and it's kind of trickled down to college football. Are you a runner or are you a catcher of the football? And kind of putting a burden on the wide receiver. The wide receiver has to catch the football. He then is a runner, and then he's got to survive the ground. You saw earlier, Caden Durham came over the goal line and hit the ground. The ball popped out. Well, a runner doesn't have the same burden as a wide receiver. So, there is conversation about how we can make this cleaner for sure. Because
nobody knows what a catch is anymore. So
clearly, from a common sense standpoint, that doesn't make much sense. So the rule was applied correctly by the letter of it, but rules are made to be changed. and so hopefully down the road, I think there'll be some changes in the way that is looked at. But the crew administered the protocols and procedures the right way on that play.
Yeah, so I guess
Coach, how rewarding is it when transfers that you went out and got, you and your staff, make an immediate impact, like Mansour Delane, who got the game ball, and Braylon Moore getting the SEC offensive lineman of the week, making an immediate impact?
Yeah, we're happy for those guys. There's no question. But Mansour, I thought, was very articulate in his post-game talk, and his interception was because we were doing the right things up front, and he got that. And I think that's the point I wanted to make. Braylon was the same way when he was named SEC Lineman of the Week. He said, "I've never had this kind of trust with the guys next to me." And so going into the portal, we were looking for those kind of guys. That wanted to be here for a championship, that weren't in it for the individual accolades. And I'm great. To me, I think our guys want to be the reason that we're having success, but know that they're not the only reason that we're having success, right? So I think that those are the kind of guys that we got, and we're seeing that come to fruition. Now, we're going to have to handle adversity during the year. We're going to have to handle injuries during the year. There's other things that will come in front of us, but for the first entry into this, it was a good weekend for us.
Yeah, we didn't get many interceptions last year in the secondary. We didn't have that many, and for us to get one in the first game of the year was really, it was refreshing. I'll say that.
The coach over here, Jordan Gilbert, had to step up and get the start in the first half, just assess his play, and just, we gave the game ball to Mansour Delane, but just the overall success of the defensive backs.
Yeah, Jordan is that kind of guy. He's a great leader. He's a veteran. When we found out about AJ, obviously, we immediately thought, let's get somebody on the field that has done this before. And his experience showed. He was physical, communicated effectively, did a really good job, and he's such a valuable piece to what we're doing.
Yeah, the defense really didn't really have a really huge step back in the first half without Halsey, but that was good to see. But let's go. Who else that Brian has to say?
Doing.
Coach, right back here behind Mike. Dabos, when he said that this was like a final exam on day one of class, and said that he would have given LSU a 65 and Clemson a 58 because neither played great. Just wondering how you would have graded or assessed the team in their first game of the year.
Well, I mean, I thought we dominated him in the second half. So he's either a really good grader for, giving himself a 58, or he's a really hard grader on us, or he didn't see the second half, which that might be the case. He might not have wanted to see the second half. So again, look, this is all like, past. We're much more focused on Louisiana.
I mean, it's week one, man. It's week one. You don't win championships in week one. So,
Tech, to be quite honest with you, and Clemson is a darn good football team. I mean, that's a really good. That's a top-notch team, and they're going to be a team in the hunt for a playoff.
Popeye's wings got better.
God damn. All these freaking ads, man. Ads.
Picture, and we hope we are too. But it was only one game, so I don't know if he's a hard grader or an easy grader. But I like the way we played in the second half.
Coach, you have an update on Destin Hill?
Yes, he has a fractured left hand. He had surgery yesterday. We put a plate in it and to stabilize it. He'll be out this week. We think that we can get him in a position where next week he can be in a limited capacity for us. So the plate stabilizes it to the point where we can put a cast on it that allows him to function as a wide receiver. So although disappointed that he won't play this week, he's pretty excited that he'll get a chance to get back out on the field next week.
And Ashton Stamps, I don't think took a defensive snap. Can you explain that decision?
Well, we're going to play the guys that obviously give us the best chance to win, and he's a really good player. There's no.
It means he got passed up on the depth chart. It means other guys are playing better. What it says.
Out, but when you talk about the rotation right now, the rotation was what we played on Saturday, but Ashton's got to stay ready. He knows that. This is a long season. We have great confidence in him and his ability to go out there and play at a high level for us.
You alluded to it in the post game about getting creative with the calls in the run game. What was your assessment of the job that Joe and the staff did on offense and calling the game to win the game, but also getting a lot out there?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's been pretty obvious that there's been an emphasis in making sure that we run the ball and become more balanced to set up play action. Some of our best plays were the play action throws. So to do that, when you're in a spread offense, you have to be creative. You're moving receivers and tight ends around. Your run game can feature, wide receivers in it as well. They're blocking, running. So I think just keeping that same mindset really, and moving forward, that we have to continue to be that way and find the areas where we can prod and get the best looks to run the football.
Coach, you've coached football for a long time. When you look at Trey'Dez Green and his physical gifts and the fact that he hasn't played football all that long, what is his future and what is his impact on the game even when he doesn't catch passes, right? He drew pass interference calls, so forth.
Yeah. First of all, he's a terrific kid. I don't know if you saw it, but he waited for.
Man, he's a big target, man. He's a big target in the end zone, man. Reminds me a lot of like Jimmy Graham was with the Saints, that he could really have give a mismatch, in red zone and end zone stuff. I like Trey'Dez Green. I hope LSU uses more of him in those goal line situations, stuff like that.
Everybody to get into the locker room. He was the one guy that stood out there and just he's just. You get generational talents, right, throughout your career, but you don't get generational talents in kids that you love like that. He's so into his teammates and what they do and how they do it. He's selfless, and he's still learning. What I love is his willingness to stick his nose in there and get dirty in the run game, and he did a really good job there. The second thing is he's still working on his technique. So his technical ability is not just going to be run down the field and jump up and get the ball. That's not Trey'Dez Green's final piece of what he looks like. There's many more intricacies in running option routes and comebacks and things of that nature that we are excited to continue to work with him and grow. So we're just scratching the surface, and that's a great thing.
Yeah, Coach. 0 defensive penalties, 0 carries that Clemson had that went over 10 yards. I'm curious if you can.
Well, that's something we haven't. That's something we haven't seen in a long time. 0 penalties on the defense, and very limited the big plays. The last several years, our defense has been susceptible to the big play.
Speak to Blake Baker and the defensive staff and getting this.
But that goes to we got more talent on the team than we did last 2 years.
Defense ready with, I believe it was 10 players that weren't on this roster last year that played in the game. Just getting them ready so quickly for game 1 and to have such a efficient, kind of mistake-free night.
It didn't happen overnight. It started in January with, being on time, doing the little things, keeping your locker clean. I know you don't want to hear this stuff, but I'm answering your question honestly. It's the discipline that we have within the program. Our guys bought into it, and it carries on to the field in the way they play. We're not going to tolerate foolishness. We had a couple foolish penalties on offense. Those things can't happen. Our guys took full accountability for it, which is great, and we'll continue to do a better job communicating how we can be better in helping them not make those mistakes. But I think it's just an overall program perspective, and then those guys really trusting what we've been telling them and then going out and doing it.
Brian, Aaron Anderson leads the team in receiving yards. I believe he had the most receptions as well. It's for a guy to, sort of miss some time in the preseason camp and to still come out and look to be as rock solid as he was last season.
That's our best receiver. Aaron Anderson is our best receiver.
Speak to his, I guess, stability within himself and within the offense to perform the way he does.
When Verizon gives you a free phone.
Man. Another goddamn ad.
Trick playmaker. And, Aaron would tell you that there's more there. And he's growing as a young man and making good choices and doing the right thing, taking care of his body. And now the next thing is consistency in his practicing, because the carryover is when the lights go on, he's a different dude. So I just like his maturity and the growth that he is showing each and every week when he comes into the building. And, that's why he's going to have continued success here and down the road.
Coach, a few freshmen played last game. Harlem Berry had a carry. DJ Pickett played spot downs. Is there any plans to get them more involved into the game?
We're going to play the guys that help us win. If it's 20 freshmen, I'll play 20 freshmen. It's hard to, really say, who's going to get in the game. And
I do think we need more than one running back besides Caden Durham and Johnson. So I think we do need to have a little more, more guys running football.
Certain situations, we got talented freshmen, and if they can help us win, I'm going to play them all. I'll play anybody. That's my job and responsibility, is to put the best 22 guys on the field to help us win. And if it happens to be some of those freshmen, they're going to play.
Coach, with Bauer Sharp as a blocker, how is he? What different things can you guys do within the offense with a guy who can chip as well as he can and just block out in space as well as he did?
Well, he's a tenacious competitor. You saw when he had the fumble. He makes a great tackle. If he doesn't make that tackle, that's a score. I mean, he's just a competitor. He creates an energy in the unit by just the way he goes about it. It's like Jack Pyburn on defense. I mean, those guys create such an energy and bring up the others. And so whether it's blocking, catching the football, keeping the guys up on the sideline, he's just he's a key piece to keeping our guys sharp and playing at a high level.
Just your assessment of Garrett. Did you have any issues getting plays in, or is that his ability at the line to, see what he sees and make some changes and corrections there?
Yeah, all that's his management of what's going on. I don't think we had a delay of game penalty. We didn't have a snap infraction. We had the one on Tradez where we were on a second count and he didn't get the signal. But I was really pleased with the management from that standpoint. But yeah, I think there were a couple of times where, we could have, on our end got the play in a little sooner, but his management was outstanding. That's as good as he's been in terms of, getting us in the right run plays, making the right checks. As I said, I think he held the ball for no more than 2.2 seconds on an average. The ball came out quickly. That helps your offensive line. I thought he did that happens only when you have a veteran quarterback.
Yeah, getting the ball out quickly, man. That's hopefully that continues.
You said analytics play a role in making your decision at the end of the first half. Now that you know and have seen how well your defense played for a game, does that affect your decision in those situations?
It did. It did during the game, actually. That's why we punted from our own 40 going in. We punted the 40 because our defense analytics would have had us going for it at that time. But I love the way our defense. I don't like the way we pinned the football. We'll have to get better there on our sky kicking. But that was exactly to your question. That's why we punted the football there from the 40-yard line.
The whole 1-0 thing, where did that start from? Was that something you said you thought we have to make this a visible thing? And going all the way to the T-shirts you guys wore in pregame warm-ups, whose idea was that?
It was all of that was discussed internally, and ultimately I make the decision on those things. But we put ourselves out there, and look, sometimes you got to go out on the limb.
Yeah, he put himself out there, and it could have backfired big time if LSU would have lost that game with all the 1-0 BS they were saying. But it worked out, so it's a moot point.
And some say it's not smart. I knew the team that we had, and I knew it was a mature enough team that we could put that on them regardless of what the outcome would be. And we knew 1-0 was going to be where we wanted to be. You can see on the board right here, there's only one game that's visible on that board, and that's Louisiana Tech. The other one's covered up from the week before and all the others. And so it's just been a mindset that we've kept. And so the 1-0 wasn't, targeted, hey, this is, rubbing it in Clemson's nose. This was our mantra for the year. We just want to focus 1 week at a time, avoid the noise, stay locked in, and do the things that we've been doing. Then we can get to 1-0 each week. So that was really much more of a, what's the mission of the group this year than it was anything else.
I caught my stepson's.
Oh, man. More BS ads.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, Coach, how do you keep your team's intensity and focus up, not just when they're playing ranked teams like Clemson, but when they're playing this Louisiana Tech team this weekend?
Well, it's a good question because we didn't do that against Nicholls State last year. And so we've talked about that. There's a standard of playing.
Yeah, they didn't. Right, Nicholls State was running the ball like crazy on us in the first quarter, first half. Yeah, he's right about that.
Football here at LSU. And that's the standard that we're going to have to play when we go every time on that field. Every Saturday, there's a standard. And our guys know what the standard is. We're going to be demanding, not demeaning, but we're going to be demanding. Today's going to be a demanding practice. And they're going to have to live up to those standards. And they know that. I mean, we've already talked about what to expect this week, but our expectations are if we want to go 1-0, we have to do the same things each and every week. And we're not moving off of that. And we've heard enough about the other stuff. We're going to focus on what we can control, and that is today, Tuesday's practice is the most important thing.
It's had some people ask about Ramos. He had cramps. Is that what happened with him? Or
yeah, he said his calf cramped up on the one that he missed, and so we went right to work on the sideline, and he felt better after that. But that was really because you could see the kick that he made from 52. He did not have that leg strength last year. That was almost halfway up in the net. We calculated, Jack Marucci, he does all his calculations with the science end of things, that was a 58-yard kick in normal. And he didn't have that range last year. So we handled the cramping on the one.
That is right. Ramos was over 50. He wasn't as good as below 50.
On that he kind of came up lame on. It was his plant foot. Yeah, it was the plant foot. Good. All right. Thank you.
All right, that was it, man. That's Brian Kelly's press conference. So I'm gonna try to do these things every week. I'm gonna upload them on Goose Sports and also Bayou Tigers Network. So, all right, man. Tigers have Louisiana Tech coming up next this come Saturday in a few days. Short week. Well, not really a short week. But it's a short week because when I say it's a short week for me because because of Labor Day, but it wasn't a short week for the LSU. But we'll see. We'll see what happens on Saturday, as LSU should win that game pretty handily. But they are going to have to play. But, have a good one. We'll see you next time.